Here we are again in Katunkwit with two guests here, one co-host and one guest. Aisling Komarek joins us once again after a severe absence. There were 3 absences in a row.
It was a pausa.
A pausa?
Yes.
What's a pausa?
It's a pause.
Oh, a pausa.
Pausa.
And we once again visited by Adnel. Adnel, so good to see you again.
Nice to see you, too.
Well, that's such a sexy and seductive voice that is. She uses just always, she just walks around talking to the mailman. Oh, hello. How are you doing today?
Except she's a lady,
Oh,
so it doesn't quite work.
Are
for
you
me.
stalking her? How do you know she talks to
I
the
don't
male
know. I don't
woman
know.
like
I don't
that?
know a thing. I really don't. I
Probably
don't,
have
I don't
the same
claim to
male
know
woman
anything.
that I do.
Probably, very close. And it's odd, though, that you hadn't known each other until now.
If only the male woman had introduced us.
I know.
Yes.
We could be in charge of this podcast.
We could. Should we do a takeover?
You could-
Podcast takeover.
you can build all the content. Yes, it's just it's a ritual. I would think you'll really enjoy doing all that work. I'm sure. But I wanted to, Aisling, we haven't even spoken since you visited a foreign country. Did they let you in with ease? Did they question your?
I wasn't worried about going there. I was more worried about were they going to let me back into this country.
I would be more worried about returning to this country.
Yeah, me too. That's what I'm saying.
At this point, we're going to discuss
And
that.
they
ad
they
nauseam.
didn't. I was surprised.
Yeah.
Obviously, they didn't check my social media history or anything. So
I'm sure they didn't, and then they also didn't check your bag, which you probably brought some contraband through.
No.
no, I packed pretty lightly in a small bag, so I couldn't bring very much back.
My sister-in-law, she travels with frozen meat when she goes to Europe because the
What?
meat prices are too high. Isn't that bizarre?
I feel pretty normal now.
She packs it in, I guess, ice, I would presume, and she puts it in her ski bag. That's crazy.
Does she
she
put it in
checks
the
it.
boots? Like
I'm not sure where.
You could put
I'm
a
not
nice
sure.
sausage in a ski boot.
Yeah, I mean, she.
Pretty big sausage.
I guess she prefers the American meat. Whatever.
Well, let's just leave that. That's
That could
We can't
that could mean
touch that
so many
one,
things.
It's
So she brings like her husband or her boyfriend with her when she goes abroad.
yeah.
okay.
Oh, that's the meat. I get it. Okay.
He's a little slow.
It's all going to be sex jokes from the rest of the way here.
He's
all
had
about
surgery.
sex.
He's still coming
The
down.
listenership will rise tremendously if that's the case.
Yes. How's the Ashland trip, though? Did you bring Stuart or did you bring Ricky?
I brought Stuart
Did you hang out with Ricky occasionally?
occasionally.
Yeah.
It was a
late
mix
nights?
of Stuart and Ricky.
Oh, that sounds very interesting.
Yeah, it is. Actually, her husband Stuart has another persona.
Oh, okay.
Or is it my husband Ricky has a persona that's taken control?
Which would you prefer? Are you a Ricky fan or a Stuart fan?
Ricky's more fun.
Stuart's good with the checkbook,
That's true.
and Ricky is better with anniversaries.
No, Ricky is better with
Camp out.
adventure and skirting the boundaries
Going
of
off
the
the
law.
grid a little bit.
Yes.
Skirting the boundaries of the law. So I was right about the contraband. So I'm really engaged to hear what happened on this island. Unless, Adnel, did you go away into any foreign countries in the last month?
I went to Attleboro.
Yeah, there you
That
have
counts. If you're a Rhode Islander, Attleboro is another
it.
country.
Did you go to get the Chick-fil-A, free Chick-fil-A sandwich after the
God, why didn't you tell me before I went?
of the Rhode Island Football
not
Club?
know.
If they
No.
score a goal on a corner kick, it's a free Chick-fil-A
Really?
sandwich from Attleboro Chick-fil-A.
Wow.
Hey, we have a new sponsor, Attleboro Chick-fil-A.
I did not know this.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, they announce it all the time on the.
Well, the only game I
Television.
saw, there was no score.
True. It isn't every time they score a goal, but it has to be on a corner kick. I
Oh,
don't
it
know
has
if it's
to be
directly
off.
off the
Okay.
corner kick or if it can happen. You know
As
how
a
the ball
result of the
bobbles
corner
Bounce
around.
off
kick.
someone's head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, exciting.
Anyway, yes. So to answer your question, I had a very good time on my vacation, and it was a very fitness-oriented vacation. This is very hilly where I went.
You had no problems with that.
Well, I mean, it was hard at times, yes.
I can't believe what I'm hearing. You had a difficult time climbing?
Actually, the most difficult time was the day we just went to the botanical gardens and decided not to take the cable car or the car we rented and just walk up there. And everything is uphill.
Oh, yeah.
And it was on the hot pavement, so...
Except when you come down.
Yeah, and down, actually. In a lot of cases, down is worse.
It's a bitch on the knees, isn't
Yeah.
it? The front of the knees hurts.
Yeah.
Yeah, we actually did a very steep hike down, and that's another place. There's a lot of cable cars in these steep places. So there's a cable car, and we got, as soon as I was at the head of the line, the guy's like, that's it for today. So I said, oh, well, I guess we're walking down because there is a trail.
Yeah.
So we walked all the way down, and I'm thinking, this is going to really be a bummer coming back up. It's actually easier coming back up.
Well, that's
Well, for a couple of reasons.
Perfect.
One, the whole knee thing, right? Going down.
Mm-hmm.
It is hard on your knees. But also, it felt a lot less treacherous going up.
Yeah.
Like if you tripped, you just kind of fall forward. But on the way down, there's no railing.
No.
On the way down, you're thinking, well, I could slide on these loose rocks and fall 500 feet.
Can I ask where you were?
In Madeira?
Okay.
Yeah.
It's so strange you say that because I had a friend that went to the Amalfi Coast and she sent us a text and said, I almost died. I lost my footing on the gravel path that everyone was walking and I could have plunged to my death. And I just thought, okay, that's a little bit of an exaggeration. And
No.
then she sent me a text of someone she used to work with who had gone the next section and he literally fell off and died.
Wow.
I mean, it happens. If you look on the websites for hiking in Madeira, they do say it can be dangerous.
We were in Amalfi, right when you're talking about, apparently on the same path. And, but there's little old ladies dressed all in black
In preparation of
nylons and
death.
everything. Exactly. And they walk those hills all day, every day.
They're
And
just used to it.
Well, they're
Yeah.
drinking that olive oil, too.
Yeah.
You
They
know,
drink it.
they're drinking it. And then that stuff made from the limoncello. Everywhere you go, boy. They probably use that as a high
In
colonic.
Madeira, they drink poncha.
What about the Madeira wine?
We did drink some Madeira wine as well.
It's kind of overrated, don't you think?
It's like a nice sort of aperitif kind of.
It has a lot of pop to it. Do you like Madeira?
It's okay. Not my favorite.
All the wines in Portugal, though, the other wines that I read, the reds that I love them.
Oh, yeah.
Rojo. It was so good. Anyway, that said,
You lived.
you
lived through
I
the
lived.
adventure.
Stuart almost died.
because he.
That was a mountain biking incident, though.
Oh no. So Ricky survived.
Yes.
Stuart, not so good.
Stuart's okay.
Okay.
He was a little banged
Did
up.
he fall? Yeah, he fell. Huh? So.
He went head over heels.
Oh no. Is that common where you were? Wait,
I mean,
Americans
it's common
go there?
in mountain biking, but
Yeah. Stuart's getting up there, and he's 3 years younger than me, right? Or is he your age?
no, he's in between you and I.
Yeah.
Are Stuart and Ricky different ages?
Well, not in actual years.
Well, I realize that, but you know.
But I mean, speaking of that, the reason I wasn't here for so many weeks is the weekend or the whatever afterwards. We went to Vermont and to celebrate two of our mountain biking friends who turned 80, and they're still mountain biking.
They haven't reached the peak, pinnacle, I guess.
Nope, they're still going.
That's good.
One
Well,
of them's hoping to repeat the trip when he turns 90.
That's great. Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, you think of people, with brain injuries and everything, and they're climbing mountains and doing things, and people with one arm playing golf. I mean, it's amazing what people can do. And I think that was also the week was that recently that you went to Vermont? Because I think it was the week that I had surgery.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I did, to alleviate the pain in my back, and it has. But I have other pains as a result of the pain that's no longer in my back. It's migrating, which is good.
Or not.
So, tell me a little bit more, Neil. What have you been doing lately? Since we last spoke? I mean, you were here maybe 2 months ago, perhaps.
It was probably about that.
Was it closer to
6
winter?
weeks,
Yeah, 6
something
weeks,
like
yeah.
that. 6 weeks.
And
8 weeks.
did you have any? We've talked a lot about real estate.
It's rough out there.
Yeah, it's hard to get a listing.
I have nothing. It's
Yeah.
just, it's very scary.
Yeah. Oh, I'm
Yeah.
sorry about that.
It's one of those things.
There's only so many lots on this island.
Gotta
Right?
persevere. No, it's just, there's a lot of tumultuous things in the country now, and people are
Oh,
not
yeah.
sure what they want to do and not sure about.
Yeah, I was just reading that
Financial si-
people thought things were looking up, and now it's not looking up.
It's too up and down. I mean, people are selling things. One thing I'll say is people are getting listings. If they're priced right, they go very quickly, but a lot of people are pricing things aspirationally, I'd say. And
Yeah, because they see what everybody was getting, and
yeah,
they want it too.
They're getting a little bit too much, and I think you have to explain it. You have to be honest with them, but not everybody.
So I got a
is.
question about pricing.
Yeah.
So the price that Zillow says is kind of like this is
Yeah,
the price.
as estimate, yeah.
Yeah, is that
It's less accurate in a place like Katunkwit than it is in a place, let's say California, where they have 100 tract homes that are the same, because
the more
because
that feeds
the,
into it, the better.
location is different for every house here, and the age and what's been done to it and the style, and there's so many things that are different of each property here that it's very hard to just
So would you
come up
say
with this
that
estimate.
they are off in all directions, or they tend to be high or low?
In both directions. So, because a lot of times they're just taking your square footage, your number of bathrooms, your bedrooms. You might be on the water, let's say. You could have a house with a fabulous water view, but they don't see it because they're at the road when they're giving you, and they're just looking at general data. And you could have a house that's on the water that has trees in front of it and doesn't see anything. They're not worth the same amount of money. So it's not that useful a tool for a place like Katunkwit, or I'd say in general on the East Coast, because we don't have big, developments. But in certain towns where you have a plat that's laid out and all the houses are the same and there's really no view, it's just that all the properties the same size. It's better. It's more realistic.
Oh, good to know.
I mean, that's
I
why.
always wonder.
Yeah, when you sell a house here, you really have to have someone that looks at, all the sold listings, and then one by one tweaks what is better, what your house has that one doesn't have, or what that house has that you don't, and really narrow down the value. You can't really just do it by generalizing.
I think a property in my neighborhood that was, a real
Fixer upper.
tear down, I would imagine. It just went for close to 9, and then they broke it down. They just tore it down, and they're putting a new foundation in as we speak. So it's just crazy stuff. It's just wild. So Katunkwit is booming in that regard, I would say, but you're saying that it's drawing back a little bit. It's interesting.
I'd say people overestimated. I think mostly sellers overestimate what they could get, and
Yeah.
then their agent Well, sometimes agents will go along with that because they want to get the listing, and other times, you have to explain to people. You have to give them facts in order to prove why you come up with a price. But I think, unfortunately, if you overprice, what we're seeing is people overpricing and then having to drop it and drop it and drop it, and that actually is worse for your house than pricing it right in the beginning, because you get more people in, and usually then what one person wants,
price
someone else wants,
And then
more.
they start bidding
Yeah.
over the asking.
Oh, I
Yes.
like what you're saying. I'm picking up what you're laying down. When I say that, we failed to ask you a question. I looked through my notes from the last time you visited,
Yeah.
and I failed to ask the question about your name. Have you any idea why your parents called you Adnil? What's behind that?
Because they like to they like to say everything backwards.
Oh, were they the kind of jokesters in the
Yeah.
home? Well, that's funny. Wow. What were your sisters' names?
Inzasu.
Inazasu. Suzanne?
Yes.
That's great. Inazasu. I love it. It's really creative. So let's see.
I do have a good name story for you.
Yeah, tell us.
Oh, I can't really say it now.
Well, you
'Cause
certainly.
it'll ruin my identity. So
Okay, well, don't do that. You want to stay
yeah,
as close to your own identity as
Yeah.
possible.
my backwards identity. Yes.
So I think today we have a new game that we want to play, just to open up, and loosen things up a little bit.
Okay.
And it's called, the new game is called Finish the Limerick. All right, so I wrote some limericks, and I wanted to, I'm going to say the limerick, and then you're going to finish the last word. And we'll start here each time. We'll go with Ashland, and then we're going to go over to Adnil. All right? Okay, so the first limerick is, and then it's a contest, by the way, and I get to choose
Oh, my
which ones I
God.
like the most. There once was a woman from Catunquit who was on a specific and determined sun quest. She guided the sun's rays with cardboard and foil, plastered her body with baby oil, and 10 years later, she resembles a...
I would say plum pit, but that's rhyming with Catunquit.
Okay, plum pit. So we're going to read the last three. Well, there once was a woman from Catunquit who was on specific and determined sun quest. She guided the sun's rays with cardboard and foil, plastered her body with baby oil, and 10 years later she resembled the plum pit. Okay, that's pretty nice. How do you feel about this
Oh,
one?
I had a good one.
She's
and,
breathing hard. She must be struggling. There once was, I'll say it again, so I'm going to say it again. There once was a woman from Catunquit who was on a specific and determined sun's quest. She guided the sun's rays with cardboard and foil, plastered her body with baby oil, and 10 years later she resembles a
pan broil,
pan broil.
shriveled up.
Okay, we're going to go with plum pit on that one.
Yeah, I'm still confused
I
about
know,
in
that's
the limerick. Are we supposed to be rhyming with the end of
I'm
the
not
first?
gonna determine what you should be rhyming with. I would always rhyme with the last line, but
I don't
maybe.
think that's the way they work, though.
well, yours don't. So you won the first round. What are you bitching about?
Just go with it.
Okay, number 2, and we'll start this time with Adnil. If given a specific task, Jim was very determined and could last. He'd start slowly, and yet he'd finish fast. Held his subject as if carrying a bird to her nest. Jim was better than all the rest, and particularly good with...
No.
I got one. If we're rhyming with the second part, I'm going to say with a breast.
Oh, that's a good one. I'm going to give it to. I'm going to give it to you.
Okay, 2 points for you have no way to come back, but we'll press the bet. We'll press the bet, and this one is worth 3 points. It's number 3 is worth 3 points. So we 1 and 1 and then 3. So you still have a chance to win. Adno, you got to work on your answers. I have no idea. It's not good.
Yeah.
In Katunkwit, one never knows what'll wash up upon her shores. A wooden case of whiskey from 1929. The remains of someone's snail-eaten arm. But on Wednesday last, it was a day to be remembered because Jack Stolenmeyer found a complete
Sorry.
sorry. Okay, so we have, we'll go again.
I'm not
Dismember.
That's what I thought of too, but I don't see how.
Okay, so
The whole thing
it
doesn't
have to
make
be a single.
This one's a bit weak.
How about this? In Katunkwit, one never knows what'll wash upon her shores. A wooden case of whiskey from 1929. The remains of someone's snail-eaten arm. But on Wednesday last, it was a day to be remembered because Jack Stolenmeyer found a complete body dismembered.
Yeah.
Which was where you're going. So I'm going to have to give the points over there.
She said
I got here
dismembered.
first, man.
Okay, three.
I was
three.
thinking dismembered, but I was like,
I think it's a
work
tie.
on its own.
I think
Okay.
it's a tie.
It's a tie if you don't know how to do math. It's a tie. It's a tie. Well, we're into our part of the show where we start to express ourselves about political matters, and it's not always the part of the show that we actually incorporate, but today it seems like an appropriate day given that there's been a significant number of protests for no kings, and I'm in favor of no kings.
Were you there?
All right, so that we have 2 hands up, and you protested.
I
recently.
protested many times, but I did not protest on Saturday because I was somewhere else.
Oh, do you really believe that we should have kings?
No, I had tickets to something and I chose to
Oh, that's good.
use them.
We have we don't have queens here either, so we don't have queens and kings. And let's just establish that to the world out there, and even in people in Boise, Idaho, and other parts of the country, like Kentucky, perhaps. We don't have kings. Let's just establish that we do not want to have kings, and we've got to get somebody working on that up on the hill.
Did you protest on Saturday?
Silently, yes. For my own.
Silently.
I watched the U.S. Open.
You were still recovering.
I was still recovering.
I was out there.
Where did you
This
go?
is my second one. This time
Locally?
I went to Katunkwit.
Oh, good.
Last time I went to another town.
Nice. And did you find the people to be peacefully demonstrating?
Yes, 100%. I mean, both times they were all peacefully demonstrating, and a high age demographic.
Was it were there people that were averse to the idea of your protesting that came by with trucks and like flags and stuff?
No, but you can tell people drive by, and if they don't honk, they're not necessarily in support. And then there are people that honk a lot, and you know
Yeah.
that they're in support of it. But I admire these people that are in their 80s, maybe even 90s, that are out there every time, and they're just. It was raining.
One woman
It
had
was
a walker,
cold.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah, I know that woman. She's an amazing woman.
I mean a bunch of. I mean, most of the people were in the older age demographic. There were probably 15 that were less than 30, maybe.
My coworker was in Manhattan, so he went out and he said it was totally peaceful and there were no counter protesters.
Good.
But you
Well,
know,
there
it's,
probably aren't any in New York.
oh, there might be some, but yeah, the numbers apparently are growing, which is good.
You heard about the guy that got killed in Utah by someone who was protesting because there was a gentleman that came out. You can open carry guns in Utah, and a guy was out dressed all in black, wearing a face mask, and was carrying a big AR-15. And so they got worried that he was going to do something, so some private security shot at him and missed him but killed somebody. And the reason I know is I used to watch that show Project Runway, and one of the guy that got killed was one of the guys who was a contestant on it 10 years ago, 39 years old, 2 little kids and a wife, and got killed.
Why were the private security shooting?
Because they thought
nobody should have guns.
I know. Because Utah's open carry, you can carry your gun, and that guy was walking around with his gun. They thought he was going to start shooting at the crowd, so they shot at him. And
I will never go to Utah. I don't think it.
Not now, that's for sure.
I mean, open carry guns. There's a lot of banging around. Who's banging the table?
That's me.
Don't bang the table.
Sorry.
I had a phys ed instructor, and we said, "Hey, Alan, don't bang the lockers." You know him, actually. Anyway, here we go. I mean, let's just get it straight. This presidency is looking more and more authoritarian, and I don't know how it's going to change, but I guess we just all have to go out and protest some more. Oh boy, I have a poem that I could slip right in here nicely maybe. It's called "Rally of Words." Now you have to listen closely, and of course, because it's poetry, but it isn't as prose a poem as I usually make. So, that's my disclaimer. But it's by me, James Allen. It's called "Rally of Words." Beware of a secret meeting prior to dispersal, where word rallies that failed in rehearsal, formally unacceptable and beyond presidential inclusion, become invigorated through dilution and delusion, through repeated propagandist diversion. The world has always called upon poets, have sought their words, their notes, their innate awareness of subtle seduction, when power firmly grasps the devil's hand of corruption. Some poets are more confident than others, their paths seemingly secure. Yet the world has even sought wisdom from other poets who toil, those unassured of paths and outcomes, yet aware there's a fire burning in the kitchen, and that there is a fire extinguisher nearby. But they let it burn and press on, their voices sprouting happily from sanguine soil, as they write of birds and trees and sky and owls, and sometimes, in doing so, fail to produce bread, leave the listener unfed. Their pulse on the times pour, as disastrous historical events trouble, overlap and burst during a 24-hour news cycle. And their fireworks burn yellow to red, words dead end and sputter like sparklers, briefly fill night's dark word void, where other words require a runoff vote, call out for careful, cautious consensus, and maybe even lack public confidence, disturb common myths of American righteousness. Our leader speaks with a mouthful of twisted knife-like tongues, as followers chant his hate-filled dogma. They seek quick sound-bite sensation in what has become a near-dystopian rally world, where they hollow curse in blank verse from bound congregations of familiar words, relying upon severed, stunted, haltingly familiar speech paths, as words are dispersed irreverently and seemingly desperately seek salvation, while long-lived expectations and traditions become corrupted, constitutional clarity becomes blurred and interrupted, when lies and the truth are unintelligible and equally baseless, our eagle grows balder and faceless, feathers all aflutter and flying in circles, exposing her bare breasts, forced to formally address for her final undignified and nearly pointless constitutional test. Nothing is clear at this rally of words, as many remain to stoke fear's fires further, though they've rallied hours since rehearsal, and stay well beyond the proper period of dispersal. That's a rally of words. Oh, there's some clapping. There's an audience. Neil, that's that's our first clap we've had here at the Katunkwit Chronicles.
I wonder, like, there aren't that many sort of protest songs and
Yeah, you're right.
and sort of, you know, like this poem makes me think like you're sort of questioning but people speaking out, like people are now sort of speaking out about a lot of bad things. Protest numbers are growing, but you don't see as many, you know, in the past we've had lots of, you know, big name rock and roll stars.
Everybody's afraid for themselves and their financial and future and their families. And I mean, look what happened Saturday and why people should be afraid.
That's the most fearful thing there is, that people no longer run for Congress or for these state, you know, positions or even local government. And it might happen because they're afraid, right? And I have to admit, you know, it's frightening, right? That the government could be people, you know, pulling people off the streets.
The other thing I saw recently was that the big concern right now is the normalization of it. And so everybody just is like, they've gotten over the craziness and they're like, oh, this is just the way it is. So they stop speaking out and protesting because they're like,
there's nothing's going to change. So there's nothing. I mean, it's scary to fight against. It's an uphill battle, and you stand out. I deleted Twitter, which I never really used, but sometimes certain people would say things that I found horrifying for the country, and I would go on to their Twitter to respond to them, and then I thought, now they're going to find me and come get me or do something, say I didn't pay my taxes or I didn't do this or what, and then you start thinking about the consequences, and you think, maybe I don't want to do it that way. And I think that's how people feel. And people also, the people I talk to, just say they get too depressed by listening to what's going on, and they feel better just ignoring it because they don't think anything's going to change.
Well, it's fighting a battle on all fronts, right? So it's a massive of unprecedented numbers of abhorrent behaviors
in all different directions.
In all different directions, you don't know where to poke the stick.
Which one today? Yep.
That's what's going on there. I have a little. I first wrote this as a song, but this is actually something that kind of addresses what we're talking about, because there's protests in the streets and there's protests in L.A. and my daughters are living in other parts of the world in cities, and you see people in the street that are homeless, and I've visited them and seen them too. So this is about a homeless person's perspective during these rallies, okay? And, you can imagine what it might be about. I might sing it. I'll try to sing it, and if it doesn't work, I'll just read it.
Okay.
It's called Rain Masks Pain Like a Shot of Novocaine. Caught between a rock and a hard spot. My basket's empty, I use my last hit. Caught in a whirlwind of fury, and I'm not sure I should exist. My opinion was lost long ago. Heart's been turned to granite stone. People dip their heads when they see me as I walk the streets all alone. Caught between a rock and a hard spot. My basket's empty, I use my last hit. I'm caught in a whirlwind fury, and I'm not sure I should exist. People screaming, protesting signs in my city look my way when they pass me in disgust. I call for help, but they only ignore me. They can only see my life's a total bust. Times are changing, but I've been lost forever. Never made it far from the starting box. I've lived this long on bile, wet and guile. They say wretched rags and filth are my chosen style. 'Cause I'm caught between a rock and a hot spot. My basket's empty, I use my last hit. I'm caught in a whirlwind of fury, and I'm not truly sure I should exist. The summer's heat builds to riotous fury, fills my streets with vitriol, strife, and pain. I can almost hear him, God's calling, he is calling my name. While thunder clouds bleed much-needed rain. Protesters scattered to seek roosts of cover, no longer a band of like-minded sisters and brothers. As flooded streets wash away the day's filth and pain, but rain masks pain like a shot of Novocaine. I'm caught between a rock and a hard spot. My basket's empty, I use my last hit. Caught in a whirlwind of fury, and I'm not truly sure I should exist.
That is an interesting perspective.
Excuse me, a little coughing. You can
Like
cut
somebody
that out.
who's got so many more things to worry about. Right?
Yes, but this person is in a position where he's been intruded upon by, and why aren't they protesting him for him, helping him?
Right.
So there we have that.
It's like a modern day Les Mis.
Yeah, okay, I like that. Yes, let's hope it doesn't get that far and we have a total revolt. It wouldn't be good for the country to have a revolution.
That's what happens when you've got such an income disparity between the rich and the poor.
Have you seen this movie? Oh, it's called Mountainhead. Oh, it's about the billionaires that control the world. And there are 4 of them up on a mountain. You got to see this thing called Mountainhead.
I'll put that in my phone.
The guy that was in Office, you know, The Office.
Oh, yeah.
Michael, he played Michael. Is that?
Steve Carell?
Yeah, Steve was in it. He's good. And it's very troubling.
But it's not a comedy.
No, it's comedic in that it's very
I
dark
saw
humor.
it out now that you say that because I just saw a new movie with him with 4 guys in the picture.
It's amazing because it's also possible that this could happen.
Well, you know John Meacham. You know John.
I do. Well, I know his
mean,
work. I
I
don't know.
respect him so much, but he said that the feelings in the country have never been so wound up and tight, except just before the Civil War.
Yeah. Well, and during.
And he thinks that's going to happen.
Well, eventually the president's base is going to turn on him.
Yeah,
True. I can't.
when they lose their next elections. That's when.
Well, I mean, there's not so much the higher ups of his base, but the
Yeah.
actual man on the street
Right.
who was told, "Oh, I'm going to make
Oh
things
yeah,
better for
exactly.
you," and that is not.
Well, they're going
happening.
to turn, and then
Yeah.
they'll elect different people, and
Exactly.
then those people who supported him, no matter what, are going to then turn on him or try to save themselves.
People do desperate things too. So his,
Yeah.
I don't think it's beyond him to start something up somewhere else to divert the whole thing. I'm not sure that that's not the reason why he's engaging in some of these foreign
things. Yeah.
activities. We'll see, though. Who knows? I don't know. It's above my pay grade. That's a 66-degree wave right there. And these are
Is that
66-degree
temperature
bubbles.
or angle
It's the temperature of the
water?
temperature of the water right now, which I'm going to dip right into that Katunkwit Beach at some point and get my feet wet. Just my
swam
feet,
on
though.
Sunday, and it was still a bit chilly.
I can't go in the water for
Oh yeah, you
6
said
weeks. It's terrible.
that. It's practically the end of summer.
I know. Well, we've reached that part of the show where we incorporate one BS or not, at least one, and I have prepared one. Does Ashlyn have one prepared? You've had 3 weeks to prepare one.
I have one.
Okay, hit me. And us.
So when they built the Golden Gate Bridge, there was a net they put underneath in case anybody of the construction crew slipped and fell. And it caught 19 people, and those people became members of the Halfway to Hell Club. Is it bullshit or not?
Or not?
I'll say it's not bullshit.
I would say it's true. It's not bullshit.
It is true.
It sounds
It's
like
interesting.
that was a very good
Never
idea.
knew that.
Yeah.
I've been thinking a lot about bridges, like our stupid Washington Bridge up in connecting East Providence and
yeah.
Providence, and how slow, just the sort of whole thing where, like the Philadelphia Bridge that caught on fire when the tanker truck,
Yeah, but they got that fixed in seems
10 days. But it's a shorter section for sure, so it's a smaller project. But it's I'm listening to this book called Abundance, and they're talking all about how so much bureaucracy and paperwork and get this approval and get that approval just shuts everything down,
Yeah.
slows everything down. So in Pennsylvania, the governor declared it an emergency and cut
Got
through
that
all
done,
of that.
yeah.
Hired union workers, but didn't do any of the studies or anything. And
wait a minute, I have to back up. Isn't that what the current president is doing? Cleaning it's an emergency and
oh yeah, but I mean this.
There's real emergencies, and then there's made up emergencies.
yeah, it's
so-
pretty clear emergency.
You have to be.
I mean, if you have to drive between New York and,
yeah.
Virginia, it's an emergency. We're
So there are self-serving emergencies. I mean, these are we're talking about emergencies for the greater good, and this was done by somebody who was in complete control of his faculties.
yes.
Anyway, it is an interesting thing to talk about, like how we've regulated ourselves out of being innovative and quick
Or using
at
common
solving-
sense.
Yeah.
There are a lot of things to simplify in government and bureaucracy. I think everyone agrees with that, but how you do it is it's a different story.
Do you do it with a
Right. I mean, for
an
Compassion.
instance,
axe,
like,
or do you use a
well,
Right.
you also, I mean, a certain, like the whole Doge thing, I mean, if they actually did the job properly and looked
Right.
at
yeah?
Each
things
thing
instead of
exactly.
just, you know,
hacking.
like my father always says, engage brain before opening mouth. They didn't
Yeah.
engage their brain before they did anything.
Yeah.
It was more than one brain astray there.
Yeah.
Sure.
The leadership brain was in trouble too, and remains in trouble.
Anyway, so what's your bullshit or not?
At the Battle of Lexington, which happened here in the U.S., you remember that, right? Up in Massachusetts, which
I
preceded...
wasn't here at the time, but yeah.
Well, you came in just after that.
James Allen was around back then.
Which preceded the Battle of Concord, the next town over. Many of the colonial militia soldiers were drunk. While waiting for the British to arrive the following morning, as they knew they were coming from the reporting that Paul Revere provided on his famous midnight ride. They had a few pints or more. By morning, when the redcoats arrived, the militia had been drinking at the local pub all night, and therefore were ill-prepared to fight the battle against the British garrison. Is it BS or not?
It's BS.
I don't know. Just to be contrary, I'll say it's true.
It is true. Concord was ready. What, are you looking up on your phone or something?
She doesn't know the rule about research.
I have evidence to
What, Wikipedia?
to no.
No, it's I'm reading a book right now, Bunker Hill, by
Oh yeah.
Nathaniel Philbrick.
Okay.
And this is what he indicates, that they were ill-prepared at Lexington, but when they got to Concord,
It sobered up.
Okay.
the dudes that were there ready to fight, and women, I guess, there were some, and some slaves that were freed slaves fighting, and Native Americans, too. And some French. So anyway, there you have it. But what do you have over there? Something to the contrary?
Well, one thing it just said
Neil.
that was a myth that they had consumed, that they were ill prepared. But it did say that they did drink a lot of alcohol because alcohol was considered safer to drink than potentially contaminated water.
But do you have to drink 2 barrels
why
of
the
water?
British-
Well, I don't know how much I wasn't there at that party,
Well, we will not know.
so I'll
We
trust.
probably
I'll
won't.
trust the person.
Nobody
who
knows for
Bunker
sure exactly how much alcohol was drunk that
Right.
night. And they weren't effective in the first battle. The second battle, more so. There you have that. Is it bullshit or not? Do you have one for us, Edna?
No, I
You weren't prepared for that.
She was drinking, so she's ill prepared.
that's right.
I didn't know anything. I know your father and your mother and your sister and your brother, too. That's not fair to people to drink too much. So we have the bubbles. Oh, so nice. Well, we have to thank people to thank them and promote them and all this other thing. We've already promoted the Chicken Place and the Rhode Island Football Club indirectly, and even people in our own community that did the protesting. So we've already done a lot of promotion. But here we are with our commercials. Backside Scoop is opening up for summer business once again this year at 112 Katunkwit, Maine, near the flower shop. You'll remember the Backside Scoop provided a stir last summer when we were, for the first time ever in New England, offered the newest flavor in their lineup, poop-flavored ice cream. Poop-flavored ice cream drummed up considerable amounts of interest and curiosity, but only 2 people tried it. So we discontinued the flavor, says
Nice decision.
Jane Rousehouse, co-owner of Backside Scoop, which is an interesting name for a ice cream company that actually sells poop-flavored ice cream. Anyway, Backside Scoop. It cost us considerably to create the certified organic and safe flavoring for the ice cream. No actual excrement was utilized in the making of the ice cream. The health department was informed of this and certified this flavor 100%. I just couldn't get people to eat poop. Those that did try it hated it. But Ed Sabornagais, an off islander, said, I kind of like it. Backside is offering another special flavor this summer. Toenail fungus. But this time, Miss Rousehouse said, it actually tastes like pineapple, not like toe cheese.
How does she know what toe cheese tastes like?
Yeah, that's a good,
Some people bite their own toenails.
She might not want to go into
As an
marketing.
adult, if you can still bite your own toenails, you're pretty flexible.
Wow,
That's true.
That's a major
and I have to say that Ms. Rousehouse is an innovator, right?
but not a marketer.
Well, she gets people to come in because she's got these crazy flavors, right? So, I mean, I'm not too far
I
from
could
it.
see some kids going for the poop flavor.
Yeah.
Oh, he ate poop. Did you say that? He ate poop. No.
Everybody
he ate
likes-
toenail fungus.
When you're a kid, you like the word poop. So the kids, kids affect the way the parents
Remember
drive
in
away,
Harry
where they drive
Potter,
into.
there was the ever flavored, I don't know, the jelly beans, Birdie Beats, and they came in things like earwax.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Well, I didn't read that. Sorry.
You didn't read Harry Potter?
I did not. I'm sorry. I really am sorry.
Are you?
I really am. I really should have tried it, but I did try.
It's never too late.
Yeah, the book
You're
still
still alive.
exists.
I just can't.
They
get
haven't
into-
burned
Still
that book
alive.
yet.
So if you're sorry, you would go home tonight and read it.
I'll read it. I'm
I
not
bet
gonna
you
read
have
it.
them all in your house. Didn't your daughters read them?
No, we're not like we're very based in reality. And there's
No.
enough.
Wait.
We
Are
are.
you the same person who runs this podcast? Oh, okay.
Well, the reality of life, there's enough there without.
So
creating
there's
these
no
crazy
fantasy
worlds.
reading in your house.
I watched one movie that I thought with my kids one time that I really liked, and that was called Bridge to Terabithia,
Yeah.
and it was fanciful. There was sort of this. Let's face it, the classics, Lewis Carroll, Alice, whatever her name is there, Wonderland.
Alice in Wonderland.
I mean, I
did
went
not
for
like
that.
her.
I was okay with that. But anyway, there's so much else to read. I can read stuff that we're in a world where I can kind of figure.
Are you more
I
of
can place
a
myself.
nonfiction reader?
Clearly, yeah.
I read a lot of history, however, but I read a significant amount of fiction. Yeah.
And what's your favorite sort of genre?
I like
Murder mysteries? No.
No, I like
Romance?
Definitely not.
Tolley. What's his
Ed-
first name?
oh.
Yeah, he wrote all those books. Man in Moscow, there, and the one that was about the woman.
Amar Toll.
Amar Tolley.
Yeah,
Love his
Gentleman in
stuff.
Moscow.
I love all that stuff. I read everything he wrote.
I did read
The
that
Lincoln
one.
Highway.
Oh, great book. Yeah. What was the one about the woman in New York was amazing. He wrote about this woman who was way ahead of her times and lived in New York in the 1920s. And he's a guy, right? And he kind of knows stuff about women that really, he shouldn't. I don't know how he did. He pulled it off. He's a wonderful writer. I think he's among the best of our times. The drone store is finally opening in Mariner Center. You can buy a drone on this island, Katunquit. Our grand opening is this upcoming Saturday. Come fly with us. You can spy on your neighbor or watch a Little League game without even attending the game. Oh, that seems a bit creepy, says drone store owner Chaz Bellamy. That's all Chaz had to say about it. That's a little creepy.
But Chaz thought watching the Little League game without attending was creepy, but not spying on your neighbor.
And Chaz thinks there's really enough interest to open a drone store.
There's a lot of interest in drones. It's a drone world now.
It is a drone.
You can actually, I don't condone this, but there are people dropping presents and other things.
Bombs.
I didn't say that. There will be a fundraiser next Saturday to be held at the ball fields to support Gamblers Anonymous. There will be a silent auction including the following prizes: a year's worth of baseball scratch tickets, a trip to the Kentucky Derby in Louisville, Kentucky in 2026, Super Bowl tickets, and free membership to FanDuel, golf foursome at Katunquit Country Club, and more. So they have a fundraiser. Now, that is really odd that all the prizes are. Well, it's presumably
Well, if
you're not
they
going
don't
to get.
do that, then they're going to run out of members.
And let's face it, the gamblers are not showing up for the fundraiser.
They're trying to drum up interest and get new gamblers.
Yeah, I guess that's what we need. Keep support of the team, the whole tank wins. Okay, so we have another PSA. Well, that's a public service announcement for those of you that are under 4. After the most recent editorial in the Katunquit Press about the financial town meeting held June 2nd, Katunquit will hold a town meeting to discuss how poorly or not the most recent town financial meeting went and what to do about it. There will be State of Rhode Island State Police sanctioned lottery at the conclusion of the event, and the stoning of the unfortunate family will take place after the meeting. Meeting to be held June 21st at noon beneath a tent on the ball fields. Oh, is it the 21st or the 2nd? No, it's the 2nd. Sorry, folks. It's the 2nd of June.
No, wait. The other one was the 2nd of June.
Oh, I'm
This is
sorry.
the follow-up meeting.
The meeting to be held, the follow-up meeting. Well, I don't want to get this wrong for those of you that are depending on me and this podcast for your information, which is absurd.
Which
by the
is
way.
a mistake.
Meeting to be held June 21st at noon beneath the tent on the ball fields.
I saw you at that annual town meeting.
I didn't last long. I was in PAIN.
Yeah, you didn't look too happy. Well, I think everyone there was in PAIN.
Yes, it was.
Or
they were in
the
NAP.
only people I know who made it to the end, and I know there were many, but of the ones I spoke with were the ones that had to stay till the end.
Yes.
So many people were like, I tried to stay, I wanted to vote for
Yeah,
this,
people
or I wanted
started
to vote
leaving.
for that, but
11:20 something was the vote, and then they wanted you to stay till the votes were
outcome.
tallied, so then they could decide on one of the issues they couldn't vote on until the votes were tallied. And I think 90% left when they cast their vote, which was 11:30. So
Yeah, everybody's.
I stayed till then.
I thought it was interesting that that this PSA was written by somebody that sent it to me, and I shouldn't really kind of look through them because sometimes they say some weird shit. Right? There will be a state police sanctioned lottery.
do we get a state police if we win the lottery?
No, at the
policemen?
conclusion and the stoning of the unfortunate family. It's like the well, I think what the author of this PSA is saying. I think it's a satiric comment
Yes, 100%.
about the meeting. So if you went to the meeting,
Too bad we don't know who the author is.
we don't. PSA. Also, help is needed at the Katunkwit Community Garden. We meet Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. You can come and weed any day. CCG provides fresh veggies and eggs to people that can't afford fresh food. Join today. It's free exercise. And you can buy vegetables for $1.50 per pound if you help the farm. That's nice.
That's a true public service.
Well, I think they're all. It's really a good public service, isn't it? I agree with you on that, yes. They're all true. Oh boy, do we have a show for you today. We have the last element of our show, which is for those of you that are listening intently here and have been listening in consecutive weeks, we have another part of the musical that James Allen wrote called The Happening. And in this section of this piece there's Don, Starling, Gertie, and Angelo. And then in the second part of this piece, those folks will be there, as well as members of the FAH Club, which is known as the Flying Assholes. Okay, so they are really a bunch of guys, mostly guys, all guys, who grew up together in this small town, and they get together periodically for these types of events. So this time there happens to be a happening, which in the 1970s, which this place takes place in 1972, people would come together for a happening, and then there would be food and wine and beer and even
Bocce.
But also, they would usually have some sort of sacrifice of an animal and eat that animal, like a pig or a goat or something, and then
Stonings.
Their wife.
there was other things that happened. But so in this section of the piece,
Can I just ask while we're talking about this section? Did you already start this?
Yeah, we already started last week.
So I'm not sure where we're starting this week.
Well, we're starting right where I sent you the whole thing, and it says Righty Pat, Tokyo. Those are three characters. Angelo,
And we're
Billy
going
Johnston, Red.
until we fade to black.
Yeah,
which is before Act 2.
correct. And in this scene, Rudy, who is Don, the principal character Don, is Rudy's death has already occurred. And Rudy is Don's great uncle, who passed away sort of suddenly at the kitchen table while they were all having wine in the morning. So Starling, who is the person who has this enlightened character, played by Aisling Kamorg, who she has a lot to say about the passing of people in this section, and they're toasting him at this time. In the second part of the piece, we will be you'll be introduced to a number of members of the FAH club, and there'll be a couple of songs as well. And I will sing the songs, and I'll
Thank
just tell
God.
you who's doing the singing. I will be playing Don in this section. Ashlyn will be playing Starling, and no, you are playing. What are you playing?
Everyone
Whitey,
else.
Whitey, Pat, Tokyo, and Red.
Yeah, that's in the second part. In this section, I will be playing both Don and Gertie, and Starling will be playing. Ashlyn will be playing Starling. So I'll be playing Don and Gertie. I've got to look that over. Okay, so here we go. All right, so I'm also the narrator.
I may not even be in this part, so that's
Yeah,
good.
I don't think
Okay.
she's in this part.
I don't think you are, and I think that's okay.
That gives me time to get into character for
Okay.
never.
All right, here we go. And this is part of The Happening, the musical play. Okay, so I set that up, so here we are. So Don, Starling, and Gertie and Angelo are toasting in this scene. Gertie starts us off. To life and death, and to Rudy, and to good food. Gertie continues to chop vegetables and uses the meat cleaver to cut hunks of beef on the chopping block near the stove. He works feverishly and enjoys the butcher work particularly. To life and to death, to Rudy, who never wore a mustache.
To life and death, good food and enlightenment through weed.
You mean dandelions. Starling grabs the broom and dances with it while she speaks.
I mean, like knowing what the truth is. Standing 6 stories above Paris on the edge between the balcony railing and nothing but air. That's the truth, man. Getting closer to God.
She fiddles with Angelo's beret, and he moves away from her suddenly.
You want to get closer to God? Get to know and understand death because he, she, or it is producing a lot of it. Anyone remember, we are at the war in Southeast Asia.
Gertie says to all, "We had our war, and you have your war. Everybody has to have a war."
We don't need a war. We need air, water, shelter, and good weed. We need to listen to one another, be in the present, become enlightened. Stop all that ego from leaking out and poisoning the world.
Angelo, moving away from the group, stage left. He stands next to papier-mâché figure in the corner. It resembles a suit of armor.
So, you ascribe to the theaters of Tola?
Tola? Toll who?
Eckhart Tolle, Dalai Lama, Buddha, and Christ. What do we do with the body?
Well, I was in India. I saw the burning of a body. It was very spiritual. Smelled awful, but spiritual. Let's burn him.
We can't just burn him in the backyard like we're burning the rubbish, could we? Could we?
Does he have any family left?
Only me and my brother Johnny.
Ask Johnny. If he says burn him, we should burn him. Seems like a nice thing to do on a Saturday. This beats the pig roast.
I got 25 guys coming over tonight for the FAH meeting. Gertie's been cooking all morning. We could do it. My wife Jean is in New York visiting her sisters, and I could do a pig roast along with your Uncle Rudy. I assume we're not going to eat your Uncle Rudy, are we? No. We'll just burn him. To get the ashes. Then we have to do something with the ashes. Maybe we should just toss them in the river.
There are laws against that. But that's a good reason to do it now, isn't it?
The pigs may bust us for dropping the old man's ashes, but it'd be protest of sorts because they should be busting Nixon on that Watergate thing and not worried about who's dropping an old man's ashes in the river. Besides, I think it's not too legal to burn your uncle in the backyard in a funeral pyre. Jesus Christ, this day is really shaping up.
I say throw him in the river. I'll call my brother Johnny to get the okay. You're talking about the ashes, aren't you? You can't just toss the body in the river like the mafia. The ashes. It's a good way to get rid of the extra wood in the backyard. Let's get a pig, too. Starling can kill it. She has a nice gun, and she's in the mood. You didn't mention you were married when I was stroking your canvas, Starling. And there's a song that will be sung by Starling. And here it goes. Toss the ashes in the river like the mafia, in the river like the mafia, in the river like the mafia. Keep some ashes in a locker for the next generations. Ashes in your pockets to support the theories of creation. Scatter them at the cross and make the sign of the 3 stations. Don't forget the man served this nation. Fought in the trenches of the First World War. Can't even imagine what the man really saw. So he liked a few glasses of wine each day. Who are you and I had to say? Toss the ashes in the river like the mafia, in the river like the mafia, in the river like the mafia. Fade to black. Act 2. Act 2 includes Pat, Tokyo, Billy Johnston, Angelo, Red, Righty. You've already met Angelo. Starling, Johnny, who is Don's brother, by the way. Don and Gertie. The room is filled with oil paintings, easels, paint cans, and the smell of turpentine permeates the room. The artwork is hung on the walls of the room from top to bottom. Paintings are stacked against the walls of the room. The FAH members, along with the main characters, are congregating in the room, filling it slowly. Centered in the room is a ping-pong table covered with a white linen cloth. The chairs are a mismatch of old maple chairs and metal folding chairs. The chairs have hardened paint drips all over them. Several easels with palettes and brushes and stools are randomly situated around the room. With palettes and brushes and stools, we said that, with paintings in varying degrees of progress. Some of the canvases are blank. Paintbrushes are suspended in turpentine. Centered in the room is the white tablecloth. The members are all Don's age, 45 years, or give or take a few years or two. Each man's carrying a case of beer with him and depositing the case's stage left in a grand cooler with ice. After they deposit the required case, they proceed to open their first bottle and remove the potato from their pocket. This is a ritual dating back to when they were young men after World War II, and then members of the FAH, the Flying Assholes Club, as each man was required to bring a case of beer and 1 potato to their gathering and functions. The ritual remains. The FAH banner is hanging next to a giant clock suspended from the ceiling. Starling's located center stage with a group of men around her, all members of the FAH. She's clearly of interest to them, and they circle her like they would a bronze sculpture. She loves the attention and twirls as she speaks. Starling.
It's a war against war. Well, it's a different approach to solving problems. It's really the same. We're in the same sort of trench together. I can only live now, be in the present. The things that I've done, the present that was, is gone. And if I concentrate on that, I'll miss the now.
I'll drink to being in a trench with you.
Can I share your war? I forced my way into this group, and each year I run for FAH president, but each year they unanimously vote me down. Last year I campaigned outside the shop prior to the meeting. My 7 kids joined me, walking up and down the sidewalk with placards and everything. Each year I get voted down, and you know why? I don't have any war. Too young for the big war. Went to college during Korea, play football, and I was too old to go to Vietnam. You see, everyone needs a war, or they don't have a club, no legacy, and they can't have true understanding. Come on, Starling, it's more serious than that. It can't be different and the same. Nothing's the same now, is it? I mean, wars define history. They brand us. Look at Pat, for example. No war, no definition. He said he hasn't any club to belong to, so he hangs out with our flying assholes. You have a war. You have definition. No war, no club, no history, no club, no history, no club, no club, no history.
I mean, man, it's time that they stop sending the young guys overseas to fight wars and leaving us to do all the protesting. I marched hard, man.
Me too.
Johnny had it bad. Some of us gained weight during the war. Johnny turned sideways. You couldn't see him. He done so much marching.
Not the most disciplined army you're working with now, was it? With the hair and the drugs and the sex.
Tell us all about the sex.
The hair, drugs, sex. You missed the rock and roll.
Tell us about the sex.
Oh, my God. Jesus Christ, to Tokyo. Go to the corner and say some Hail Marys for Christ's sake and jerk off.
It's the liberated generation, Gerd. Women don't worry about talking about it. Don't doing it, you know? It's different. They have the pill now.
Starling sings a solo song. It's called We Have the Pill Now, and I will sing it in absence of Starling at this moment. We have control now, have control of our lives. No longer wear our hair in gaudy beehives. Have control of our lives, no longer barefoot and pregnant. Lives fulfilled, never stagnant. Enlightened and tuned in, don't think sex is a sin. We have the pill now. Contraception showed us how, and it was a man that invented the pill. I wonder if he regrets it still, because man's goal was to keep us down, maintain his status, his pearly crown. But now the pill's out of the bottle, and women have their hands on life's throttle. They have the pill now. Women are going to feminize us somehow. Gonna shed their bras and fly into space, become astronauts and enter the race. They'll not stop till they get to the moon. It's all happening way too soon. We're losing our manly grip every time they shake their hips. Don't be afraid of us. We're not asking for much, just that you abandon your images of frailty, embrace the concepts of equality, promote us for our superiority, for all we want is normalcy. Trust in the workforce, it all seems simple to us, of course. It's not simple for us. We came used to riding in the front of the bus. We like the delicate stay-at-home types. We're not ready for God, told us that the fruit isn't ripe. You speak of equality and normalcy. Starling, you represent all of our deepest fears. That you'll expect us to hug one another and find tears. It's not that simple for us. We have the pill now. Contraception, so does how. And it was a man that invented the pill. I wonder if he regrets it still, because man's goal was to keep us down, maintain his status, his crown. But now the pill's out of the bottle, and women have their hands on life's throttle. Starling, dear, you never know what's gonna come out of that beautiful mouth of yours. You can march and tote a fancy gun, and you can even sing. You're the next generation.
I don't like talking about sex. It makes me uncomfortable.
So did marching. Maybe you better stop having sex just like you stopped marching, because it seems you didn't do much of either. Gertie Pat's right, his huge beer barrel stomach. You ain't seen your dick in years, never mind use it. Don enters the room carrying a case of beer and potatoes. He places the potato in the middle of the table and directs all members of the party to the center of the room, lifting the potato over his head with both hands. All FAH members follow suit. The others assemble on stage, instinctively raise their hands over their heads. The non-FAH members begin to sway. Don, opening his eyes. Stop swaying. We don't sway with the kumbaya stuff. Don drops his potato into a large bushel basket that he removes from beneath the ping-pong table, and the others holding potatoes follow suit. Don removes a bottle of anisette from the bottom of the basket, pours shots for all the FAH members. They lift their glasses above their heads. Salud! In unison, they respond. Salud!
Nostrovia, Prost, cheers!
Shut up, you fucking Polak. Starling rushes to Kamansky, Red Kamansky, and puts her arm around his shoulder. Kamansky's shorter than she is, and she goes further and wraps her leg around Kamansky. All the FAH members say, "Oh, Kamansky's going to do some marching." Let him go. He can't handle a girl like you.
Woman.
What?
A woman like me. You said girl. I haven't been a girl since Woodstock.
Enter Billy Johnston with a bowl of punch.
Billy, what the hell are you bringing punch in for? Punch is for sissies.
Not this punch. I had some of that at the senior prom. Remember when we went double dating? Pointing to Red Kamansky. Me and Kamansky with those two, woman from Central Falls. We met at the Alhambra Ballroom. Johnny K spiked this punch with moonshine, and we danced all night at Duke Ellington. Can you believe it? Duke Ellington at the Alhambra Ballroom. It was amazing. Wow. Man, one cup of this punch, man, and you need a part. You're not going to need a partner to dance with, man. You dance in your own mind, man. What's in the punch? Acid, man. Ooh, I put acid in the cesspool. No, man, like the stuff you put in your head, man, like acid, LSD, man. What do you think we're doing at those outdoor concerts in the rain, man? Like Woodstock and Watkins Glen and all that shit, man. I saw that on TV. I don't like that music, but it looked fun. I mean, the name turns me off. Acid. Ugh. Anything I put in the cesspool shouldn't end up in my head. I'm afraid I may own that stuff for a long time. That's the stuff I heard about. It has a half-life like plutonium. It pops back on you like 20 years later when you're sitting at your daughter's graduation from college and Suddenly, the president of the college has two heads and is wearing a kimono, and Jack Kennedy comes back to life, but he's walking around on the podium giving the college address with half his head blown off, and his wife Jacqueline's trailing behind him with the brains in her hands, and her dress is all blood-soaked.
I'll stick to BS and women. Besides, stay off the Kennedys. I love the Kennedys. They've had enough trouble.
Billy Johnston lays the bowl on the table with caution sign. On the bowl it says LSD laced punch. Don't drink if you're afraid of flying. Starling moves to be nearer the bowl, and Billy. The lights swirl with psychedelic colors and movement. The characters in the room all change places. The smell of burning incense permeates the room. The lights come on, and all of the room inhabitants are sleeping. Time passed. The clock's larger now and hangs from the ceiling center stage, and it's now morning. Starling awakens first. Starling rises up and wipes the crust from her eyes and realizes she has been lying across the table, face down and head hung over the edge of the center stage table. Two cast members, Righty and Pat, are lying in a large refrigerator box with flowers strewn all over them as if in coffins. Uncle Rudy, dead, is nailed to the wall by his jacket and his belt. His arms are outstretched like those of Christ. His feet are bound and crossed and nailed at the pant cuff. He has daisies placed all over his body and sticking from his pockets. Rudy has a bottle of Coca-Cola in his front pocket with a straw rising to his mouth. It's clearly Coca-Cola, and the sounds of the Coke song, "I'd Like to Teach the World to Sing," can be heard in the background. Don is slumped over, sleeping in his painter's stool before a huge canvas. He's covered in paint. The paint is abstract impression of the scene and can be seen by the audience. The cast members begin to awaken slowly. The music is psychedelic.
I feel like I'm in a play or something. Man, this is some weird shit.
She lights up the roach lying next to her and pinches it between her fingertips. Breathes heavily and sighs. Don awakens next, lifting his head in his brush, raising his right hand to the canvas and stroking down the outline of a figure on the table. It's the outline of Starling, exaggerated and ass, positioned on the table centrally. Don works as if sleep only disturbs his work pattern, and as if he never stopped. He works without noticing Starling has awakened, dipping his brush wildly, applying paint directly to the canvas from the tube, and building the paint as if it were a sculpture, layering the paint. Don looks up occasionally, but seemingly ignores Starling.
What are you looking at?
Nothing.
Nothing?
Nothing.
So now I'm nothing?
Nothing.
I am nothing.
Extra double nothing.
You're strange this morning.
Pointing with his paintbrush to the dead uncle nailed to the wall. That's strange.
Whoa, that is strange. It smells like he pissed himself.
Involuntarily, no doubt. I'm pretty sure that happens when you die. Stuff just drops out of you. Geez, things changed last night for me. I felt this passing, this death of time. Clocks and lots of clocks stuck between the chairs, the sofas flying and giggling. Lots of giggling. To the point where my sides hurt this morning. It really hurts. I don't remember painting here. I can't recall why we're all here. When we came here, what do we do next?
I don't know about you, but I'm using my M16 and I'm killing a pig today.
Your husband? Pause, and now Don pauses, and now with a sudden empathy and with purpose. Yeah, that's right. We have lots of killing and cutting to do. I've got to call Dr. Mantella. He's good with a knife. He cuts the throat and drains the blood for the blood pudding. Starling rises, passing from the painting to get a look at Don's work.
Blood pudding doesn't sound too sweet. Is that my ass on the table? A bit of an exaggeration, don't you think? But it's very spiritually uplifting ass. Don't you think, Don? You're the Dons of Don's Art Shop.
Make some coffee, will you?
Make your own goddamn coffee. I'm not your servant. This is the 70s, man. Don't make me coffee. Women don't make coffee anymore.
That's fine. Maybe some tea then.
Okay, tea, but no goddamn coffee. Coffee's stereotypical.
Starling moves to the stove, lifts the tea kettle, and fills the water at the sink. She rummages through the open cabinets while looking for tea bags.
Where's the tea, Donald?
I don't know. I don't drink tea. I drink coffee.
Make your own goddamn tea then. I'm making coffee.
Can you put an extra in pot? In a pot for me?
Sure, no problem.
And that's where we end this section of the musical play, The Happening. So a lot of kind of funny and wild and weird things have happened. What do you think may have happened here, Adnome? I think there was a happening.
I think I need to drink before I.
There were a lot of weird things.
Yeah, well,
The weird acid trip part, just we have to leave to our imaginations.
true.
The body nailed to the wall.
I think
mean,
everybody
that's
might have had
kinda
some of the
common.
punch.
I'm not sure I would want to have been on acid during this reading.
Oh, I thought I was on acid during the reading.
That's why. Can you imagine how much more trippy it would be?
Well, if you were to attend this musical on Broadway with, and I'm only suggesting this to those old producers that are out there listening, get in touch with James Allen, and he will provide you with all of the opportunity to purchase this musical play. So as we discussed this, we should need to discuss a little more than that. But yeah, there's some wild things happening here. They've decided that they're gonna burn Rudy on the funeral pyre. They're gonna have a happening.
Then when they were tripping, they decided to mock crucify him.
Yeah, well, they did that too. Yeah, there's another scene later on that includes some more religious overtones, I would call them, references. So there's that, and the scene is setting for some craziness, right? Craziness has occurred.
I was going to say,
So
I mean,
it's going
let's
to
just
get crazier, is what you're saying.
I failed to mention before this but some people may have listened to the previous one, but in the previous scene, to the first scene that we did today,
yes.
Starling walks in with an M16.
Okay,
And
would have been.
That's
an
how I
important
got
thing
that
to know.
M16.
And
Yeah, I was wondering.
She had it underneath a burqa.
Okay.
She was wearing a burqa. So.
Okay. I thought it was a little counter to her character that I was
Yeah,
listening
and
to.
then I was like, okay,
No.
am I killing
get it.
a pig or am I killing a pig?
Or a man.
Yeah.
Well, there's all that reference too, yes. But there is going to be a pig slaughtered for the happening. And
If you're going to eat it, you probably don't want to shoot it with an M16.
well, there's truth in that. There's discussion about that as well. And there's a fellow that's mentioned, Dr. Mantella, who comes in and cuts the throat and gets the blood out, right, for the blood pudding, which isn't too sweet,
Yeah.
I can assure you. So, music waves bubbles. That's what we're at. We're at that point in the show where we have to wrap things up, but maybe we have something else that Adno might want to add. Anything? Adno?
No, all I could think of while I was reading is if they took the author of the play's brain and sliced it upon death, it would have a lot of stuff going on in it.
Yeah. Oh, you mean like you're referring
this
to
is
that
just
as like a slide of me?
right, a slide of the play's author, and where all these thoughts come from is amazing.
I used to do some prop comedy when I was doing comedy.
Yeah.
And I always carried around a sheet of plexiglass, was like a rectangular sheet of plexiglass, and I would put it up in the air, and I'd say, I brought some slides of my parents. Anyway, it's kind of funny. But I borrowed that joke for someone else, but it worked. If you have a bag of props, it makes it easier to do the comedy because it kind of works things in. But I'm just going to stop there and say it's time for trumpets, music, bubbles, and even doors. Ashlyn, when are we going camping?
Whenever you want. I've got my tent all fixed up.
I don't have a tent. I'll have to borrow yours, or what can we do about that?
I have an extra one.
I was going to say, if you borrow her tent, wouldn't that mean that you're in her tent with
I
her?
know.
That won't be happening. I bet James snores.
Well, you don't have to bet about that. I can assure you I do.